Christmas morning to you. I'm up at the drift mines getting some conglomerate, which I personally think is the better kind of Christmas. All morning I've been working the face of the conglomerate wall, chasing the red oxide layer. If you don't know what that is, I'll leave a video linked up here on YouTube or in the description of Facebook. Easy does it. This is about double the amount of hard rock conglomerate that I collected last time. So if our numbers stay consistent, this should be at least a 0.2. And then we've got all of this stuff down here, which is probably about how much we actually crushed last time. So there should be about a 0.1 in that. But as with all plans, they're pretty good until they see action. So we're going to have to process this stuff. Yesterday I came out with my Gold Hog multi-sluice and it performed so well. I was shocked how well this thing performed. So I've got it out again. First thing is first. Smooth. I hope when you find the deep part you realize you can swim. All of this will be going through the RC1 crusher at home. And then I'll bring it out to some fresh water and process it on the creek. But what we can process while we're here today is all the loose dirt that came off from the conglomerate as I was chipping it out of the wall. If this is the first time you've heard the word conglomerate, or you're not familiar with what I'm doing, this is 2.6 million year old river gravel that has been left under an immense amount of pressure and heat and time, and it's turned into something similar to cement. Now, all those millions of years ago, the river was transporting gold, and this stuff has gold locked up in it. So we have to crush it to break it back up into dirt. And this stuff in here is no different to this. The only difference is that it was powderized, and I can run it through my sluice. Yeet. A sluice box is like a tiny creek that we set up to catch gold. In that box we've got riffles that offer a place for the heavy gold to settle into, and then the water washes all the light dirt away, and what we're left with is nothing more than the tin that's in this ground and the gold. Tin is one of several minerals that we refer to as black sand. It's very heavy, so it sits with the gold. There's a few dregs in that bucket that I'm going to pan out, but we've done that first little run. Now that was not a lot of dirt. So we may or may not see any gold, especially with the muddy water. This isn't hard rock mining, which means that when you're on a quartz vein that's got gold in it, you can get a pretty consistent result along the length of that quartz vein within certain zones. But because this is river gravel, it means that 2.6 million years ago, the stream had to be dropping gold in that exact spot. So it gets a little bit patchy. Let's clean out that tub and see if there was any gold in the dirt that we took out. Oh, this is some cleaner water, but a much deeper mine shaft. I've never seen the bottom of it. There's black sand. So that means the river was dumping some heavy stuff. A lot of tin. Take it nice and slow. It is Christmas after all. Remembering that this is just the dregs in the bottom of the bucket, and we pumped through most of the dirt into the sluice, let's see what was left at the bottom. Ooh, we have got gold. Yeah, if that's just in the dregs. There we go. That is all of our gold. There's about 20 specks there. And that was just the dregs out of the bottom of the bucket, so we should have more in that map. But that's not where we're going to stop today. We're going to go get more dirt. This little section here, Mick discovered it's a discarded pay pile by the old timers. Clearly, the ground wasn't rich enough for them, so they left this gravel here and moved on to richer areas. But for us, that doesn't matter because Mick pulled 0.62 of a gram out of that hole in just 10 buckets. That's 5. 2 of these. Oh, it's so light. Oh. Ha. There's a lot of clay in this soil, so it's kind of gooping together, and I've just got to leave it in the stream of the header box here to break up. And of course the water is still too muddy to show if we have any gold, although I can see some black sands, so that's good. Honestly, it is getting really hot. There's no shade here, even though there's trees. They're not thick enough of a canopy to provide any kind of respite from the sun. So I'm going to get one more bucket done and then we'll do the clean out. It must be getting super hot because my camera keeps shutting off due to overheating warnings. Welcome to Christmas in Australia, where if the drop bears don't get you, heat exhaustion will. Look at our yummy mats. There's so much black sand in here, and I have seen some small pieces of gold as well. So let's clean that bad boy out. Every time. Relieve the friction. Okay, we're not going to pan this in that mud. We're going to go over to our clean water. Alrighty, first look in the pan. We've got gold. Kids, you can always take your cons home and clean them up there, which I think is what we're going to do because there's a lot of black sand in this pan. Just have a go at that. That is looking pretty damn good for 3 half buckets. Now that we're home and Fern is enjoying her Christmas present, I can clean up our concentrates. It was so hot, it dried on the way home. This is some of the basic equipment you're going to need to do cleanups of black sand concentrates at home, including a spoon, pan full of water to wash down into, a selection of pans to get your concentrates into, some surfactant that will break the surface tension of the water so your gold won't float. Yeah, so gold floats, it actively repels water, it's hydrophobic, and when it comes in contact with very clean water, the clean water will form a bubble of surface tension and the gold will literally skip up on it and straight out of your pan. And if it's your first time doing this, a spoon can help you measure out a manageable amount of concentrates to pan down at once. And lastly, you want a classifier. This is a 50 mesh classifier, which means every single one of the holes in this screen mesh is 1/50th of an inch. Now we have our plus and minus 50 mesh. You want to select a classifier that's going to get rid of every stone bigger than the average speck of gold. Most of my gold should be under 50 mesh, so we get rid of everything bigger than it, because otherwise tiny gold is going to have to fight with big black sand. Liberal surfactant. And we're going to do the plus 50 mesh first. Now you don't use the riffle side. The riffle side is only to collect your concentrates. It's not very good for reducing them. You use the smooth side. You just make sure it's got lots of little scratches in it like this pan does. And before I forget, the other thing that can help you out is a magnet. A lot of black sands are magnetic. In this case though, it's tin and it's not. You can see here that I've got hardly any magnetics on there. In fact, we'll just get rid of them. No magnetics on there. Less than 1% of my black sands are magnetic. There you go, hardly anything. When you get down to about a teaspoon of concentrates, it's actually sometimes easier just to turn it around and pan it down this way. We can start seeing some of the big gold. And remember, we only really worked maybe one 10-gallon or 40-litre bucket of concentrates. Alright, that's not 100% spotless, but it's pretty close. How about that? We actually got some plus 50 mesh flakes. Most of our gold, however, is going to be in this stuff. Once we crush the conglomerate, it's going to look really similar to what this is here. And if you don't want to miss out on that video, please consider hitting the subscribe button. And that way, as soon as I crush it up, you'll know about it. There you go. That's all our minus 50 mesh gold all cleaned up. That is actually a really good result from just 40 litres of dirt. I'm surprised about that. Mixed pay dirt pile is definitely on a good spot. Leftovers. Sit. Drop. Christmas roast. Unlocked. Here's all the gold I produced out of the drift mines next to Old Nelly. Not too bad for just 40 litres of pay dirt. What do you reckon, Fern? For the amount of dirt I worked, if I managed to pull a 0.15 out, I'd be pretty happy. Most of our gold is going to be locked up in the conglomerate that I have yet to crush. And remember, if you subscribe, you won't miss out on that video. With Fern's aggressive drinking in the background, we managed a 0.127. And whilst I spilt a little bit of gold and there's a tiny little bit of black sand left in the concentrates, Bob Ross would call them happy little accidents, and I'm happy to go along with that narrative. That gold is worth in and around $10 or $11 Australian at the time of recording. And again, I don't think that's where most of our gold is going to come from. It's definitely going to come out of that conglomerate once I crush it up, and I cannot wait to bring you that video. So until then, please give your dog a big scratch behind the ears for me, and until next time, peace, and I'm out.